Dujane, spring is here. It looks like spring, starting to feel like spring.
Yeah,
It's springing.
yeah. It's about dang time.
Yes. And we're going to be doing some springing on this show. We've got someone that is, well, springing up into a full time ride and a lot more to discuss in the world of drag racing right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, aka the Monday Morning Racer. Over there is Mr. Dujane Bland, host of the Not Bland Show. You can catch him on his YouTube channel, the Not Bland Show. By the way, just shameless plug here. I'm not too far from 20,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, Monday Morning Racer. So if you are not subscribed, go over there and make sure you hit the subscribe button, and be sure you're subscribed to Competition Plus TV as well as where you will find a lot of great drag racing material put out by Bobby Bennett and others for competitionplus.com. Dujane, I think as we roll into this show and look at the peak, there we go, peak breaking news, top stories on competitionplus.com. Once again, none of us had this on the bingo card.
Right. Right. I had heard some rumblings of it about a month ago, and yeah, I wasn't sure if that was going to be the real deal, but apparently it was. Big deal for IHRA. Kind of brings some questions up for NHRA and how that works, but it's a good deal for the IHRA, and from my understanding, it's something that Frank wanted to do. It's not like he was kind of coerced into this thing or anything. So this is very big news, and I'm interested to see where it all takes off and goes from here. But it's definitely a really good spot for both Frank and the IHRA.
I agree. You know, the IHRA in the press release is saying in the statement, hey, we want to, just further the safety and the training and the development of people in this sport. And they, through purchasing Frank Hawley's drag racing school, certainly are going to be able to do that. And they bring into the fold within their operation the renowned Frank Hawley's drag racing school. I mean, it is truly the premier drag racing school out there.
Sure.
How many competitors have gone through Frank Hawley's school to know mentally how to be prepared to drive and then to actually function a racing machine of various types that are there at his school? By the way, the funny car there is a McKinney chassis. So folks know that you get your license at office just down there. It's in for the nostalgia funny car, alcohol funny car. It's it's in a McKinney chassis. Just want to throw that out there. But fascinating move that this is going to be now leaning, obviously, well, not just leaning, but like under the IHRA umbrella. It has leaned NHRA for decades because, well, it was based mainly out of Gainesville, Florida. I mean, certainly the school travels around and you have opportunity to have training at other tracks across the country when they're scheduled and they roll into town. But the HQ was down there at Gainesville Raceway, and I don't see that being the case any longer. I'm sure we're going to find it situated at another track that has the wire globe, blue and red and white, emboldened on it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where that's going to be, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see how all this plays out, and where does the NHRA go now? Like, I know I know they're not going to send their people over there, so where do they go from here? But look, man, it's a good spot for a lot of people. It's a good spot for the IHRA to be in, and I'm happy for all the parties involved. So yeah, let's sit back and see where all this takes us. But I hope that I'm sure that it's going to be good.
I imagine there's already been an internal memo. We cannot, over the public address system, mention Frank Hawley's drag racing school to fluff up the information from run to run and pass to pass and driver to driver.
Right. I was looking at caught Joe's show a little bit earlier today, and he has Frank Hawley as one of his sponsors. So how does that work? Like, how is all that going to work?
And when you do have, I mean, you bring up a great point. When someone does purchase something, and whatever that is, what happens with those business relationships? Does Daryl and the team value what Joe is doing to sponsor Joe, just in the sense of the sport as a whole? But obviously, WFO Joe with his show is certainly NHRA centric. He's not going to be speaking of the International Hot Rod Association at all, or just at least very little. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's his slant is NHRA drag racing. He works with the NHRA. That's expected. It's not a shocking matter, and it's not something that within his program he's missing. But anytime for anybody, someone buys something and there's these other business relationships, you have to think to yourself, oh, well, what's going to happen now? I mean, look, I remember when Chip Lofton, when I worked for him at strutmasters.com and he sold the business. I mean, that's good for him, but where did it put me? I had to make adjustments for me, for my future, even though he secured in his, retirement and future. So nothing wrong on his part, but nonetheless, when that sold, I had to make changes, and that's just normal everyday life and in business. So yeah, what happens with those type of relationships and business deals out here in the world of drag racing and beyond?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
It is. And again, from international purchases to now a driving school to bringing into the umbrella of an International Hot Rod Association, water sports, tractor pulling, drag racing, stock car racing. I mean, what's next, honestly, out there? No telling. I mean, it might be drone racing for all we know, but which is a real thing, by the way. And it could happen. You never know. Everything should be on the bingo card at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Shouldn't exclude anything off that card for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Fascinating.
Very much so.
And look, I can understand people have some concerns. I do think overall this is a positive and it's a good thing. But if IHRA space shuttle, I like that. Heck, you never know. He might have some ties with SpaceX. I mean, he does know Elon, so he might already have. We might get with him and through Elon first drag strip on the moon, and we have moon buggy drag racing.
Yes.
You never know.
Never know.
You never know. So I think it's all good. I do understand a lot of folks, they want to take a step back, and there's nothing wrong with that, and go like, whoa.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. Because, man, what a whirlwind it has been. Yes, for drag racing, but for motorsports.
Yeah.
When you look at what they're doing with the Pro Pooling League, well, that steps in and they become a direct competitor with big names. And you have them stepping in with the stock car series, and you could argue an indirect or direct competition to like the Cars Tour, which is a big series in that realm of stock car racing, and they are being competitors there. So it has been a whirlwind experience, and every time we get to the point where we think we're done, we're not.
Nope.
So what is next?
We just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. What is next? What is next? Well, speaking of the peak top stories of the week here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, there is an article on competitionplus.com, dives in with Austin Prock concerning the program and people, asking, where is it? What's going on? And look, echoing what he states in essence, eventually that thing's going to turn around and you're going to know it.
Yeah. Look, appreciate the article, but this is much to do about nothing. And anybody with any kind of common sense would know that when you change an operation and you're wanting to set up said car as the way you would run it and what your playbook calls for, that there are going to be some hiccups, especially in this day and age, of trying to get all those parts in such a short period of time. So there is very clear that they don't have everything that they need to do to get the job done the way they want it to. I didn't need to be told that. The eye test tells me everything. It's no different than any other sport, especially when it comes down to football. If a coach is hired and his system and the players around him don't necessarily fit his system entirely, it's going to take some time, maybe 2, maybe 3 years for a turnaround to where he has every piece and every tool to get the job done. And there's no different right here. I mean, the talk of people talking about them not having success and the issues that they're having are just fans that are talking, or very ignorant media people. Because this isn't, if you have any inkling and understand and know the sport, you're not asking that question. Not at all.
Right.
So it's more than likely fans. You know what? Fan is short for fanatic. And I really don't give a darn about what they're saying when it comes to his performance. Fans are going to be fans. So that's that.
They are going to be fans, and we love fans, but sometimes fans are very biased. And after what took place, right or wrong, you have fans that they're celebrating the downfall as we see it right now, when is really not a downfall. It is a gearing up situation and period. You switch to an entire different team, and you've got different personnel to some extent. You've got different parts and pieces. All of that's got to come together. And though you know what you're doing, the notebook might need some adjustments for you to be able to go out there and be successful. We even see this car to car. Bring out a brand new car that came off the same jig from the same builder, whoever that is. They're going to run different.
Yep.
They're going to react different. Put in a different driver. Okay. Vehicle dynamics and weight transfer, the physics behind it, it is real. And you just can't slap somebody in there that weighs different and expect the car to do the same that it's always done. It will change things. So they got to figure all that out, and they will be a force to be reckoned with out there in the National Hot Rod Association. Very quickly, before we go to Will Smith and chat with him here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, I do want to take time to mention another funny car competitor who's off to a pretty good start, especially considering rookie year last year. Did have some success, obviously, but certainly they've gelled, and that is Spencer Hyde and Head Racing. Great start to the 2026 NHRA Mission Food season for them.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. If you've paid attention to him, I mean, he's pretty much shown that he can drive a race car. And we all know Jim Head is very much capable of tuning very well. And I think now you're starting to see a level of comfortability between the tuner and the driver. And we're seeing that as we look at Maddie and how they're going about that whole thing. Same thing here. I mean, it's, Jim Head, and he is very cautious. And I think now, not necessarily saying that he had training wheels on, but, I think the comfort level is there. Him as a driver, that's always been there. I don't think I've ever doubted that at all. He's not Rookie of the Year for nothing. So
Right.
I'm very excited about that. And the thing about them that makes them so dangerous is that we talk about all the big ETs and the big speeds, but the fact of the matter is, if you got a hot weather tune-up and you can keep yourself in the game, you got a really good opportunity to put yourself in position to not only win races, but you have yourself an opportunity to contend for a championship. And that's one thing that they have right out of the gate immediately that most teams don't have right now. And that's a consistent hot weather tune-up.
Yeah, we're talking about hot weather tune-ups early in the season, and I imagine we're going to have that to continue to play out all the way into, well, certainly summer when we know it's going to be hot. But they've had to dive in and pull out some hot weather early on already this season. Well, speaking of someone who's out there, cannot wait to get hot in competition, that is Will Smith, and he has been working his rear end off 4 years in the sport of drag racing in a lot of different ways to get to this very point and in a full-time top fuel ride in the NHRA at the Mission Foods level. So looking forward to chatting with Will. We're going to take a break. He is our Weldon High Performance Guest of the Week. A word from Weldon, and then we're going to talk to Will Smith here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Will Smith, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Good to have you on the show. We were going to have you on earlier. That didn't work out, but this may work out better. You've got 2 races under your belt, test session in a top fueler of, well, your own. And that Will Smith is vinyl graphic on the car for, well, not just a race, but several races, a full season, in fact. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I really like the sound of that. Still pinching myself every day about this opportunity, but man, I'm so blessed and got a great team and really thankful for Randy giving me this opportunity to be a part of Skag Racing and represent the Bluebird Turf brand. Just really excited. 2 races in, we're making progress and really excited for Pomona.
Yeah, it's been a road that has faced challenges for you. Tell us a little bit about that determination, and despite those challenges, all the work that's been put in to get you to this point here.
It's funny. The other day, I've had a little cold I've been trying to get over, but I was talking to someone the other day, and they asked me, they said, "You ever been close to quitting before?" And I'm like, "Which time?" There's a sign in my room that says, when you feel like quitting, remember why you started. And NHRA drag racing has always been my passion, nitro racing. And it's been a very challenging road, but gosh, I've had some great people to help me along the way, to mentor me, to teach me, to help me financially, to try to keep chasing this dream of mine to be a full-time driver. And, it's been a struggle to try to stay out there and try to stay relevant and keep your name out there and keep progressing, getting better with every lap. And that's the only way you get better in these things is more runs. And unfortunately, more runs takes a lot of money to do so. So I've had a lot of great people help me over the years that's helped keep me out there and that believed in me. And, when this opportunity came up with Randy and Skag Racing to drive this hot rod, I mean, it's totally a dream come true. And I'm still pinching myself. It still doesn't seem real, but definitely a blessing from God for sure.
You, Matty Gordon, I would even throw in possibly a couple of others, maybe not full time, but nonetheless, they are out there and they're out there on their driving capability and the work they've put in. We're seeing in the sport something that I don't think we've seen in a while, drivers getting a shot because of their driving ability, and that they should be in cars such as you are in. You're no stranger to this sport. Yes, from a kid, but as an adult working in it, whether it's the PDRA or through the myriad of cars that you have been in, I have witnessed you in a fuel dragsters, in top fuelers, in nitro funny cars, in essentially pro mods of various types. I mean, you have been in it all. So for folks that may hear Will Smith and they kind of go like, the actor? And well, no, we're not talking about the actor. We're talking about you. Fill them in of what you've done and how you have got to this point. And as you do that, I'm going to pop some photos up and kind of steer you a little bit directionally as you fill us in.
Well, as you mentioned, I've been in drag racing my whole life. And in 1992, I was 2 years old. And that's when I told my parents that I wanted to drive a top fuel dragster one day. And that's when the junior dragsters came out. And I said, hey, that's what I want to do. And my parents told me, they said, well, you be a good kid and do good in school. And, you know, when you turn 8 years old, you know, if that's something you still want to do, we'll do it. And so we I kept my end of the deal up. My parents, you know, got me a junior dragster, and I raced the whole term till I aged out of juniors. And then out of high school, I emptied my bank account to go to Frank Hawley's drag racing school. And I wanted to get better. I wanted to be good. And, you know, I wanted that on a resume. And a lot of people told me it would be a good thing to do and get that education. So I went there, and in the meantime, I was helping out Steve Johnson, NHRA Pro Stop Motorcycle Steve Johnson, and out of Birmingham, Alabama, and then also here in Tuscaloosa with Shannon Jenkins and Mike Castellano with what then was the Allen Abbey Racing, you know, our nitrous pro mod stable that we had. So I crewed for them for probably about 8 years or so. I was also the team manager. And in the meantime, I was going to college. I graduated from University of Alabama, got my marketing degree. And the only reason why I got into marketing was I was very educated and influenced by Steve Johnson to pursue a marketing path, you know, an education that would somehow hopefully land me in the seat, you know, being able to get the funding required to compete at this level. And you know, a few years after I graduated, I got the opportunity to work for the PDRA and been the marketing director there for over 10 years. But, you know, dating back to 2017, I got my license in the Hirata family A fuel dragster and got my top alcohol license. In 2018, Dave and I worked out a deal to go racing. And Dave was gracious enough to let me sleep on his couch for 4 years while we raced together. And I had my job at PDRA. They were gracious enough to let me, you know, I work remotely anyway. So I moved up to Lowell, Indiana and did my work in the morning during the day for PDRA, and then worked on the car and truck and trailer, and basically kind of maintained everything and put engines together, serviced the car, and we went racing. And that was, you know, I had money involved and a lot of sweat equity involved, and just doing whatever I could to stay out there and try to build a name. And, you know, I always looked at these heroes of mine that paved the way, you know, pioneers of our great sport, and they were hardcore racers. They did whatever it took to go racing. You know, they'd sleep in a trailer or do whatever if they couldn't afford a hotel room, you know, and they worked on their cars and they did all that. And I'm like, that's a true racer, you know, and that's who I want to be. And unfortunately, I haven't had the you know, financial assistance along the way to, you know, jump to this level right away, but I had to work my way up to it. But when you get people like Daryl Gwynn and Tim Gross and Dan Pastorini and the late great Bill Mullins, who's a great friend of mine, really commend you on your hard work and your sacrifices and your dedication and your abilities. It really makes it really worth it, you know. And so I raced with Heratos for 4 years, and then I Larry Dixon's one of my best friends and one of my great mentors, and we made the decision, together that we were going to try to go race together. And at the end of 21, we agreed that, hey, now's the time, to upgrade your license and try to do this. We're going to do it. And in 22, we did that, and got my license with Larry Dixon and drove for him a few races. And in the meantime, I had been crewing for the Samsel family on their top alcohol car as well. So got to jump in it and drive a few times here and there. And I'm 2-0 in the Samsel car. They let me drive it twice, and we won both races. And Jamie and Renee Noonan have been awesome too. They put me in behind the wheel of their A fuel car last year as well. So, and then of course, Luigi gave me the opportunity to wheel for him the last year and at the end of 24, and it was some great experience. And like I said, just getting more experience, getting more laps, getting more comfortable. And the more you do this, it's like anything. I mean, the better you get at it. But it's procedures, it's consistency, it's all the things. And then last year I decided, hey, I want to drive a fuel funny car, and which I think are the coolest cars out there in my opinion. But I was fortunate to get licensed and taught under the guidance of Paul Smith and Bodie, and we did that last March. And by November, me and my good friend Mark Herzhauser and Jimbo Urbanovich worked out a deal, and we went funny car racing at the final IHRA event last season, and it was just awesome. And just been so blessed to have a lot of great people that believe in me and have helped give me opportunities and to practice my craft and try to get better, and just beyond grateful.
As I unmute myself, fast forward up to this point, what have been some of the challenges early with the new team coming out? And, as we see the progress over from Gainesville to Phoenix, what has been some of the challenges you guys have been facing as far as establishing that level of consistency?
Well, include myself, there's the majority of us are all in new positions we haven't had before, and it's just a matter of, everyone working together, gelling together and getting in a routine and getting a rhythm going. I struggled in Gainesville. I'd love to be able to take Friday back in Gainesville and redo that, but I can't. But, Glenn and Scotty and Brent and Morgan and had been working nonstop at the shop, in January. And what a lot of people know now, but some don't. This whole thing was put together in January and the first couple of weeks of February, and made it to Gainesville to test, at the preseason test, which was 2 weeks before the Gator Nationals. So basically in about 6 weeks or so, this whole team was put together, and I am tickled pink with how Phoenix went when we left there, how things are going, and just I'm so happy for the guys because they have been working nonstop around the clock. They're awesome. We have a great group of guys. We've had a couple, people in positions change, since we started this deal. So, just getting the right people together, and we're doing that. We've got a great team together, and Glenn and Scotty are getting a great handle on the car, and it shows. We, went out first round and ran what we did, and been trying to do that the whole time. But, it's just getting the application right. There's so many factors on a nitro car, any type of car for that matter. You know what I mean? But everything's just got to click right, and it just comes with runs. It's like me as a driver, just get more laps, get more, consistent, and getting in a rhythm. And I feel like the way we left Phoenix, we got a rhythm now, and we're really looking forward to Pomona.
All right. I'm not going to go up to today quite yet. I'm still not done with just a little bit ago. I want people to know Will Smith can drive any and all things, because I've shown up to the track occasion and been like, man, Will's in that? What is going on?
Yeah, so bracket racing, right?
Right. So I'm going to bring up this photo, explain this hot rod. You've been in this one.
So that's a good friend of mine, Johnny Riggs here in Tuscaloosa. What was really cool about getting to drive that car, we run the SNRA Bull Nitrous Series here in the South, and it's got 877 Fulton motor in it, and it's tuned by Shannon Jenkins. And I used to work for Shannon, and Johnny is a mutual great friend of mine and Shannon's both. And we got to race a couple of years together, and here and there. And the car taught me a lot. I really got some, good experience and knowledge in it. And that was actually at Atmore. And we actually went to the final of the second chance race there, and saw a problem with the engine and decided not to run because what we were racing for wouldn't pay for what it would cost if we hurt the motor, and we were pretty sure it was going to get hurt the next run. So unfortunately, we didn't get to run the final. But yeah, if it's got wheels on it, the steering wheel, I'll hop in it and drive it. But I got to tell you, it's pretty cool with a big hood scoop sitting up there, and you can't even see the tree. And I'll tell you what's ironic about that. We in the semis, the guy put me in the left lane because nobody could see the tree in the left lane with a nitrous car with a scoop. So, of course, he puts me there, and I'm like, when I go to pre-stage, I got my head cranked all the way back, and I'm looking at, I could see the pre-stage, and I could see the top half of the stage bowl. No ambers, couldn't see nothing. And luckily, it was a very warm and humid night. And when I went, when I could tell I turned the stage bulb on, went down the train brake on the two-step, I couldn't see the ambers, but luckily I saw the halo, the amber glare, and I turned loose of the button, and I had my worst light of the weekend. I think was like a 40 or 50, and he double bulbed me because he was trying to throw me off, and he had like a 150 or something light, and I beat him on a big hole shot. So it backfired on him, but it's crazy. I tell people driving that thing after I've driven Top Fuel and Funny Car and all that Pro Mod, even though it wasn't as fast, it's probably been one of the more hairy things I've done, no question.
Dujane, let me take one more because that's pretty cool. Leaving off the glow, that's impressive. I mean, getting it done in the driver's cockpit. I think one of the coolest rides I've seen you wheel up in the staging lanes is this hot rod. I was at Montgomery, you were at Montgomery, and this little truck was just bad. I mean, it is a neat machine. And like you're almost sitting in the middle of this thing, not over in the driver's side. It is cool. What were you doing down there at Montgomery, and when do you get to pilot this hot rod?
It's so ironic you bring this picture up and right now, because me and a buddy of mine were talking about this right before lunch today, actually. The guy, my good friend Michael Terry from Berry, Alabama, owns this truck, and the truck has been around for years. He built it in, I think, the early 90s, and yellow has always been my favorite color, and just loved this truck growing up, and loved Michael as a great guy. And he hit me up, gosh, I guess that's been a couple of years ago now, when we did this, when you were there, and he told me, he said, I'll let you drive that thing one time. So we go down there, and I ride down with my cousin because he was driving his car, and we run a lot of the 6.0 index stuff. And Michael said, will you come drive this truck? And then that truck was felt like it was built just for me. I mean, a tall guy can't hardly get in that truck. So, yeah, we had a great time, had a lot of fun, and ended up taking it to the final. And I think I was 30 or 40 and ran like 3 off. We were hot lapping it. We had double entries in, and finally got to the final, and it got a little hot, and I missed the bulb a little bit. But I mean, hey, to never setting the thing to taking it to the final, it was a good time. But yeah, I was telling my buddy today, I'm like, man, I need to get with Michael, see if he'll let me drive that thing again. So, but a really, really cool truck. He built that thing from the ground up himself. And it's been painted all these years. I mean, the paints, you saw it. I mean, it's immaculate, and he takes really good care of it. And he actually stretched a wheelbase on it, over the years. It used to be a little shorter, but really, really cool piece.
Yeah, Dujane Will has always got the cool rides.
Yeah, it sure enough looks like it. Is that the coolest ride you've ever driven?
Well, I have to say, no. I mean, I've driven some cool stuff. I will say this: I'm going to take a second and brag on myself and the people that helped me build it. I've had a lot of people help me, but I had a little Monza back in the day that I built, and a lot of people that's known me over time have seen pictures of it. But when I was lucky enough to go to Qatar a couple times when I worked for Alan Abbey and Speed Tech, and I saved some money up and decided I was going to build my own car, and I had bought a 79 Monza, like a little bracket car, a little super gas car. And it was a clone to the one my cousin had at the time. And the guy built like 4 of them. And I love these cars. They just had a good stance on them, and they were great working cars. They were built locally. So I knew what they were. And I found one of them. And I bought it. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I bought the car not thinking it was going to need as much as it did, but I ended up having to do a complete overhaul. And I think it took me just under 3 years to get it completed. Had no money. I just, a little here, a little there. And, my dad helped me with it, and a lot of good friends locally that helped me with it. And actually Johnny Riggs in that red Camaro, his shop, they painted it for me, and I did it all black, inside sheet metal was black. It was all murdered out. Everything I could put on it was black. And that was a neat little car. It was slammed on the ground, and I wanted to do it right. I wanted to take an older body type car and really modernize it as much as my budget would allow. And I mean, I still didn't get to do everything I wanted to do because I just couldn't afford it. But I raced it for a few years, and when I started Top Alcohol racing, I'd still come home for the winter, and I might be lucky enough to hit a bracket race here or there before the tracks closed up down here. And when I made the decision, at the end of 21 that I want to try to go Top Fuel racing, and I'm like, I got to sell it. And at that time, all I owned was that race car and my truck and my trailer, and a little small block I was building on the side, and I had sold it all, and that's how I paid to get my license. And a lot of people told me, man, that's your first car. Like, you're going to regret selling it. I'm like, nah. I said, you don't want to drive a Top Fuel car as bad as I do. That's been the lifelong dream. But, there's times I wish I had it back, but I can honestly say I don't think I'd be where I'm at had I not made that decision. But, I knew then I was a little apprehensive about my decision. Should I do it? Should I not? And, but I knew if I failed, at least I went all in. I threw all the cards on the table, and I gave it all I had. And if it just wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. But at least I knew I could go to bed at night knowing I literally did everything in my power to try to go Top Fuel race.
This it?
That's it.
There we go. Yep. Yeah. That's a good looking hot rod. And yes, all black.
Yeah, it was, man, I remember the night I took it to the track, it was pristine. And then you go and do burnout and make some runs. And I think it was either first round. I'm pretty sure it was first round that night. JJ Pennington, Jared's son, was announcing. They announced a lot of big bracket racing. They're somewhat local to me. And JJ was on the mic, and he was a young kid, and it was so awesome. And I'll never forget his reaction. He was like, wow, Will Smith was 000, dead on with a 1 for the win. I mean, I almost threw down a perfect pack first round. And then make it to third round, I'm like 18 on the tree, like broke out. You know what I mean? I went and anyway, but I'm like, well, that one run, I was like, man, this is gonna be easy, Boy, was I wrong. It went downhill after that. But a lot of good times though. But man, that thing, like I said, all black, all beautiful car, and then a couple runs on it. This is cracking, that's cracking. Just race car things. But
yeah, that's a cool race car, man. That is sleek for sure.
Had a little small block in it, 362, had some really good heads on it, and went 570s on gas. I mean, it was, everybody's like, man, that ain't no way that's a 355. I said, well, it's actually a 362. But I said, yeah, it ain't no more than that. And they said, ain't no way. I said, well, when Shannon Jenkins built it, he's pretty sharp. Rear Marson did all the port work on the manifold and the heads and stuff. So can't go wrong with that combination.
Well, you know, from the track to really off the track, with your marketing degree and what you've done within the sport of drag racing has really prepared you and made you an extreme, asset to Bluebird Turf as far as representing them as them being your sponsor.
Well, I hope so. It meant a ton to me when Randy reached out to me and told me how my name got put in the hat, and there was a lot of people within the organization that put my name out there, and just it's very humbling, and I met Randy back in St. Louis at the end of last year after church service, and I made it a point to meet him. And the reason I wanted to meet Randy was to thank him. As a fan, I was there racing. I was driving Luigi's car, and we were getting ready for first round. But I just wanted to thank him for what he's done in drag racing. Skag Racing has done a tremendous amount for NHRA drag racing. And as a fan, I mean, I'm a racer, but I'm still a fan and always will be. And it's made a very large investment in our sport. And with what they do with bringing out their dealers and distributors at each race, there's so many people that get introduced to NHRA drag racing. And it's so great for our sport. And we talked for, I don't know, probably 20 minutes or so. And he gave me a copy of his 20 rules of business. And anyone that's ever met Randy or knows him well, knows about these rules. And he made it known to me that they're posted in every room, office, meeting, boardroom, whatever, at their locations up in Wisconsin. And of course, I saw that when I went up there back in January. But I realized then why he and his teams are so successful. It's how they run their businesses, and they invest in people, and their morals, their values, their being faith-based. I mean, everything about this organization and these people totally aligned with myself, and it was just a perfect fit. I mean, there's nobody else I'd rather race with in this group.
Dujne, go ahead.
Yeah, you got a dog that needs to be fed, I think. We talked about this before on the Not Bland show too, about these folks aligning with your values, and how important is that, especially for yourself, but it also is important in the big picture, because you really can immerse yourself in who you're representing, because the thought processes are the same and your views on things are the same.
So I can be me, and that's who you're supposed to be, right. And it just makes it so much easier when everyone's on the same page, everyone's got the same goals, everyone's got the same values. I'll tell you another thing. I'm a proud American. I'm a Christian, and I'm a proud American. And one of the coolest things is when I got to tour the plants up in Mayville, Wisconsin back in January was, I know, and Randy made it clear that all of the raw materials that are, imported and that come through the facilities that turn into Skag Power equipment, mowers, and Bluebird Turf equipment, and Versatran, all of his company, all of American made steel. He will not buy anything from overseas. And I just think that's great. And like I said, I'm a very proud American, and when it's a fit and it feels right and it is right, it's easier,
Most definitely.
That is certainly great when it meshes and it works out that way.
I believe in the product,
Absolutely. And, you talked about the investment. It's not just NHRA at the highest level. I mean, I was at Tulsa Raceway Park this past weekend, and there's a big SCAG billboard at that track, and you will find a lot of tracks across the country that now have SCAG influence. So their influence has gone beyond just NHRA Mission Food Series, but even down to the local level to local tracks. So huge investment by them. Thank you, SCAG, for that in the sport. Your hot rod now, we talked about all these cars, from the Monza, a Fuelers, Pro Mod, bracket racing, funny car, and now you are in this thing, and it's a canopy car. Being under glass, what's it like, man?
It's a little different. Never sat in one until I went down to Gainesville for the test session, actually. And, you know, I tell people, I said the biggest challenge for me is I guess when we're in the staging lanes and we're turning on track to position in the water box, because if the canopy's down, you lose a lot of that side vision on the side, or it's not as there's not as much there as with a car open cockpit car, in my opinion and my experience. And then if you flip it up so you can see around the sides, it's hard to see in the middle when you're trying to line up. So, you know, once the thing's positioned where it needs to be in the water box, yeah, I mean, I like it. You know, it's taken some getting used to, you know, but, you know, being enclosed like that, it's really, I don't feel any different about it. You know, like I said, I've driven, you know, funny car and Pro Mod and all that. I mean, it really ain't no different when you got an open cockpit car with such a tall windshield. Because, I mean, literally you just have this area right here that would be closed up, essentially, you know. So didn't have any struggles with it. I mean, I like it, you know.
How quiet is it in there?
It's pretty quiet. Another thing, too, these guys, you know, obviously wear radios, so I have my earbuds in. So it's kind of, that obviously quietens it down some. So I normally never wear earplugs when I drive anything. So just having the radio, I know that quietens it down too. So I can't say it's a day and night difference between canopy. Everybody had always told me that it's quieter, and I know it is. I just have the earbuds in too, so I know it's kind of extra quieter. But that car drives like a Cadillac. I mean, that's the freshest pipe I've driven, you know, in a dragster, and it's so smooth. I mean, it's awesome.
Way different than the Luigi ride that has like no windshield, and
right.
I'm sure you get, you know.
If you ever watch me, I would, when I'd pull my shield down on the start line, I'd make sure it clicked, and I'd like give it an extra little bit, because I'm like, I don't need this thing flying up, because it was like, you know, the little windshield is like driving a junior dragster back in the day, you know, like back in the 90s. But no, I was very grateful to have the opportunity to drive with Luigi, but totally two different ends of the spectrum. You know?
Yes.
But yeah,
I remember
I
when
always cricket twice.
I remember when Luigi's car rolled into the McKinney shop, and I'm like, I think it's been a while since this hot rod has seen the McKinney chassis shop for any updates, when everybody had to go through the front halving to get it up to spec to go back to racing for 2025. So definitely a different hot rod out there with his operation, and still cool to see out there someone that's been doing it for a very, very long time. You have been able to interact with so many great characters in the sport: Luigi Novelli, Larry Dixon, Harada. I mean, you know, I know a lot of people will be like Harada, and they don't realize the name and the connection and the history behind that name in drag racing. You've been connected. Shannon Jenkins. I mean, so many great names, and you play it off very well. I mean, you've had the moment with the Haradas when they had the car, they had all the different panels. I'll bring it up, you know, and it celebrated different historical cars. That was so cool. And even in the, you know, PDRA and Halloween, you carry on the theme of paying homage to people from great times in the sport as great people. And the Eddie Hill was on point.
So what's funny about that is, I mean, I talk to Eddie often. We text a lot, honestly. And I got to tell you a quick story, but I'll how we met or how we got connected. But when I was at this race at PDRA, we always have, during Halloween, everybody dresses up, and Judy always encouraged us employees to dress up, the ones of us that are not on the track, So anyway, I was like, man, who could I do? And I thought about some old drag racers, and I did Animal Jim 1 year or two, But anyway, when I did the Eddie Hill thing, I mean, I found the red belt, I found the red pants, I found the Super Shops shirt, the whole thing. And somebody, Scotty Gore, he announced over the PA that Eddie Hill was there. He was talking about me. Well, there was somebody going around saying, "Hey, I heard Eddie Hill's here." Like, where is he? Like, they really thought he was there, And but no, that one was on point. And I got to tell you, Eddie Hill has always been a hero of mine. Always will be. He was my guy back in the day, and there's a picture of he and I when I was like 3 years old, and that is near and dear to me. But anyway, I wanted to connect with him and to let him know the influence he had, on me and with racing and what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to drive a Top Fuel dragster just like Eddie Hill. My favorite color was yellow, just like Pennzoil Top Fuel car was, the nuclear banana. They called me Will the Thrill, Eddie the Thrill Hill. That's always had that name since I was a little kid. And I reached out, over the years and, didn't have any luck with, reaching him. And one day I decided that I was going to send an email message to his company, Eddie Hill Fun Cycles. And I'm like, maybe somebody can connect me, and if not, it's kind of last resort, like I tried. And I sent an email or to their message form on there. And I had a really bad day with work. It was just one of those days. I mean, it was terrible. It wasn't life or death. So, it wasn't that bad, but it was a tough day. And I'm sitting there on my couch, and I want to say it was about 4 or 5 o'clock that evening. I get a phone, my phone starts ringing, and I look, and it's a number from Wichita Falls, Texas. And I'm sitting there, and the first thought was, could it be, And then I'm like, nah, it's probably somebody from his office just calling to say, hey, what do you want? And I'll send a message to him. Well, I answered the phone, and it was Eddie Hill. And it's like I almost wanted to tear up. I'm like, holy cow, I'm talking to Eddie Hill. And I bet we talked for 20 or 30 minutes. And I told him why I wanted to reach out. I was racing Top Alcohol back then. And I just had to thank him for all he had done for me, the stuff he didn't realize, but just being him, how he and Ursi were and how they, conducted themselves over the years. And, he was a hardcore racer and just an all-around great guy and had a lot of influence on me growing up. And I had to make that known, and I had to let him know the dream I'm chasing is, the dream that got started, it was totally influenced by him and of course others, but Eddie Hill was always my guy. And since then we keep in touch, we text, we call, and he's doing well. And I have been able to work for a lot of people who have been heroes of mine. They've meant a lot to me, people I've looked up to, and I can literally look at everybody, every team I've worked for and driven for. I have admired them. They've been a hero of mine. It's just God's blessed me way beyond what I deserve. I don't deserve anything, but having these people as friends and the knowledge I've gained from them and encouragement and support, I'm so blessed.
That's awesome. That's real awesome.
Absolutely. Will, look, man, I know we didn't really directly dive in and talk about a lot of Top Fuel drag racing, and frankly, I intended it to be that way. I wanted people by the end of this show to recognize and realize that Will Smith is where he's supposed to be.
Right.
And that's at the wheel of a top field
Appreciate
dragster.
that.
And you've worked your butt off to get there. Congratulations, man. I'm pulling for you. And I hope we get more of it in the sport as well. So keep plugging away and go get that Diamond Wally.
Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate the support. Pleasure to be here. And I, like I said, it's all the blessings from God, but so thankful.
All right. Thank you, man. Have a good day.
Thank y'all.
You know, another reason I like Will Smith is I didn't realize he was an Alabama graduate. I've never heard him use the obnoxious "Roll Tide" whenever Alabama or Bama comes around. So I appreciate that a lot, Will. I like you even more. And I already liked you a lot, so that's very cool. I'm glad of that. I have to deal with my wife and "Roll Tide," and I'm just so glad that I was at Vanderbilt when Alabama was there and they got beat by Alabama. That was a great moment. Like her whole family was there in Alabama crimson, and I'm there like I'm wearing Vanderbilt stuff because I'm like, I'm not wearing Alabama stuff. No way. And no way. Her brother's even like, man, you ready for a rough time today, aren't you? They had the rough time. I thought that was hilarious. Hilarious. I wonder if they ever got that field goal out of the river. I wonder if they ever did. Nonetheless, we need to keep moving on. We chatted with Will longer than we have with most guests. Wanted to do that. Took the time to do that. Tell a little bit more of his story. Give him the time to platform. We are going to move on to the next section of the show, and that is our Vision 1 hand cleaner drag racing history flashback.
Okay.
What we doing?
I don't know. I can't see. I'll just go ahead. So this one here is very interesting. You know, Tom McEwen was a great promoter of his sponsors. And this commercial we're about ready to play here from the late 1970s shows the Mongoose with his friend and ex-football player, you know, and really a star at the defensive line position, Fred Dreyer. And it's a bit cheesy, but look, at this time, when you mention drag racing and any type of network television, it was a home run. And when you add a guy who was a sack machine for the Los Angeles Rams, it wasn't too bad either. So check it out.
Glidden and Lee Shepard in just a the sound of funny cars. John Force driving the Corvette bodied car, Force hailing from Placentia, California, up against Austin, Texas, Kenny Bernstein. The 34-year-old Bernstein returning to drag racing last season after a 5-year layoff, at which time he formed his own business chain of restaurants throughout the United States and decided to come back into drag racing first class, and he did it with this beautiful Plymouth aero-bodied car. John Force, a longtime racer on the West Coast, he also picking up a major sponsorship and deciding to head on the national tour throughout all of 1979, and he's earned his way right here into the finals at the Cajun Nationals. Two of the best funny cars in the country meeting at State Capitol Dragway in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
All right, so what you're seeing is actually
completed, both
different video from what is connected. We'll see the other video in a moment. But
concentrating on the Christmas tree,
John Force, Kenny Bernstein,
little bit of advantage at the starting line,
known as
may put them ahead at the finish line. Let's watch.
Now today at State Capitol, which is sadly now not in operation, even announced this year. Great funny cars on that track.
And it's John Force out first, but something goes wrong, and Kenny Bernstein wins his first ever NHRA national title. 6.45 seconds at 233 miles an hour. Let's watch in the instant replay. You see the flames standing off from the headers, indicating they're at full throttle as they leave the line. Right there, some mechanical problems set in for John Force. He is forced to shut it off, and Kenny Bernstein wins the race. Steve's at the finish line with the champ.
Car smoking.
Dave, absolutely one of the most beautiful cars in all of drag racing.
Oh yeah,
in any
I
category.
know. Just get,
Finds the winner's circle here at the Cajun
make
Nationals.
sure it's ready to go.
Its owner, its driver,
look at
a
the
businessman
breather
racer,
with the open face helmet and the goggles.
His first visit to Glory NHRA style. Many years ago, he raced as far as runner-up
retired from racing to become a very, very successful restaurant and bar owner throughout the Southwest. Congratulations, Kenny Bernstein.
Just great. Just super.
Were you a little sick there for a moment when Force was out in front of you?
Well, yeah, the car left pretty good, and then it seemed to get the tires loose again, and I was wondering for a second we were going to get back around him, but then she took off, and
Hey,
I don't know what
notice
happened to
how
him, but we're here.
they
That's
let
what counts.
Steve Evans
Well, congratulations to you. You've brought a lot of class to this sport. Not only your race car, but your transporter. Everything you do seems to have that touch of class and polish.
Well, that's a super compliment, Steve, from you and anybody else, and I really appreciate that. We like to do it that way. We think that the sport deserves it, and we think, just like I did 5 years ago when I quit, if I couldn't go back into it first class and really do it the right way, I just wouldn't do it, and I appreciate the compliment because it makes me feel great.
All right, now let's transition into the cool video of the week, which
It's drag racing champion,
gonna match the
40
read.
mile an hour Tom McEwen. And 40 mile an hour Fred Dreyer, dune buggy champ of the LA Rams.
Hey, Fred, you better watch the speed limit.
Look, Tom, they don't call me the Sandman for nothing, you know.
Yeah, but first of all, you're a Pennzoil man, right?
I put Pennzoil quality in all my buggies.
Pennzoil quality.
Ask for it.
Yeah.
oh man, you got to love a good crossover. You got to love a good crossover, and that really worked out. We talked a lot about Eddie Hill and Pennzoil and relationship with Eddie Hill for all those years, so that worked out. So this is brought to you by Pennzoil all of a sudden. So go get you some Pennzoil for your everyday ride. But in your race car, you need that Redline synthetic oil. That was brought to you by quartermileclassifieds.com. Look, you want to find what you need for the drag strip, the quarter mile, you need to look at quartermileclassifieds.com. That is the place where drag racers go to find what they need for their drag racing operations. Well, I know that we aren't going to have really any fan interaction tonight. I hope we were able to do enough of that. I do want to answer Drag Racing Mayhem's questions. No, I am a Texas fan, hook 'em, and I'm not a Vols fan. Granted, I'm probably pulling for the Vols over Alabama. Nonetheless, anchors down. I'll say that too in the state of Tennessee. But great to have Will on. Wanted to talk to him a little longer than we do typically with others, just because he's got a great story and want folks to understand that Will, the Thrill Smith, or Will, the Fresh Prince of Drag Air, as I like to call him, with that 80s like car he drove with the Haradas, he certainly deserves the ride that he's got. And I'm so glad to see the likes of him and Matty Gordon and others getting these shots. And it's happening again in the sport of drag racing. That is so cool. I think we do have a parting shot.
Yes.
I haven't seen this photo as of yet. This is what it reads, or you want to read it, Dugenay?
This is Frank Holly. He sold this operation to the IHRA. But here's a look at the day the Hollywood came to Holly's school, and Holly's in the picture right there, and producer and director John, I think it's Fredenheimer, who was going to cast Holly for a role in a Don Garlits movie that never got made.
And we talked about that last show, I think. Movies that need to be like, we need a good drag racing movie. I'm not saying there's not good drag racing movies. I know Heart Like a Wheel is out there. I enjoyed Snake and Mongoose, or Mongoose and Snake, whichever the way the title goes. Look, I enjoyed it. But we need like Days of Thunder level production. Again, granted, with the shots spliced right to the track. It always annoyed me about Days of Thunder. Like, I'm this huge NASCAR fan, and I'm like, that is not Darlington. That is not why are you using a shot of Phoenix at Daytona?
Right.
Stop it.
It's ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So
right tracks.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And if we did any preaching while we were here, sorry, not sorry. We're going to keep doing it because there are some opinions that are just trash. You know who you know. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit. We'll protect it.